Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to this second Hangout session. So all of you are doing module 4, which is about the local health systems. So in relation to the local health system, we have chosen a topic for discussion today. So probably we'll take some 45 minutes for the discussion. It's going to be a free-flowing discussion. So you can freely express your thoughts, your ideas, with regards to the topic. And then finally, in the last 10 or 10 to 15 minutes, we will clarify your doubts, or if you have any suggestions, we invite you to offer during that time in the last 10 minutes. So we have Dr. Prashant with us. He is the subject matter expert. Myself, Meena Putturaj, the course coordinator. We have Arish with us. So the topic chosen for today's discussion is primary healthcare in India, the opportunities and challenges. So in the local health system module, you're learning about how healthcare services needs to be organized at the local level. When I say local level, we say that it is at the district, we are talking about the district health systems. So within a district, how we are supposed to organize the healthcare services. What is primary care, secondary care, tertiary care, how they should be integrated and all that. So in relation to that, the topic which is chosen for discussion is primary healthcare. So we're going to reflect a bit on this concept called primary healthcare. So in your in your undergraduation, post-graduation courses, you would have learned about, you have been oriented towards this concept called primary healthcare in community health subjects. So since 1978, the Alma-Ata Declaration, primary healthcare has been emphasized as a primary strategy for offering health services to all. So now we are also going to distinguish the concept, what is primary care and also primary healthcare. Is there a difference? So we would like to listen to you. We want to understand and know what is your understanding about the concept primary care and primary healthcare. And also we are going to explore a bit what is the existing state of primary healthcare in India, uh, how functional it is, what are the challenges, and finally we are also, if time permits, we'll also be discussing about the strategies, what kind of reforms required to strengthen the primary healthcare system in our country. So to begin with, so I will, to initiate the discussion, I'll pose the questions. You can freely express your ideas, thoughts on that, and Prashant will pitch in to share his ideas or give his reflections based on what is being discussed. So the first question for discussion is, what is primary healthcare? So we have 4 questions. So the first question is, what is primary healthcare? So you can just start thinking about what you learned, what is your understanding about primary healthcare. Yes, the floor is open now. So any volunteers to begin? Please feel free to unmute yourself and share your thoughts on primary healthcare.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Dr. Deepak. What I mean to say that primary healthcare is such a care facility in the health institution where is basic facility for example, febrile illness, just like fever control and further diagnostic or treatment may be not available for that. So such level is a primary health care. But for the tertiary level or secondary level treatment can be available in a further level of hospital. So just like in a sub center or a primary healthcare center. So in a basic unit of the, like in the community may have primary healthcare, but the primary care is for a individual kind of problem of healthcare. For example, fracture, a patient suffering from trauma. So primary care may be support of the limb, apply the uh, maybe some support, and further refer to the X-ray and plaster and all. So maybe it is my concept. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Deepak. So this is the usual way of defining primary healthcare, but are there any alternative thoughts? Maybe we should also think together the second question: what is the difference between primary care and primary healthcare? So if that difference is sorted out, then we will have a better understanding of this concept called primary healthcare approach. Any thoughts from others? I see Shashikala has unmuted herself. Yes, Shashikala. Hello. Anybody else would like to react? So what Deepak was saying, it's about organizing first level care. If I summarize what Deepak said, it's about organizing first level of care, first point of contact with the healthcare system. That's what he said about primary healthcare. Any other alternative thoughts on this idea?
Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am, now?
Yeah, but there is a lot of background noise.
1 second, ma'am. Okay, ma'am, is it audible now, ma'am?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Sorry, ma'am. I was at my workplace still, so that's it.
Yeah.
As Dr. Deepak said, primary care is what are the basic facility what an individual should get. It is his or her rights. What he should get. Approach is how are we going to provide, like maybe as a doctor or as a nurse or as a public person, how are we going to provide them with those basic facility, or the primary care is a approach what we are supposed to think of. So that is what is my understanding about it. Approach and primary care.
Yeah. Thanks, Shashikala. Maybe you can mute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, that's a nice view. She's telling primary care is a way of, primary care approach is way of organizing the primary care, where primary care is the first level of treatment. Again, she's emphasizing that point. But approach, she refers to the way of delivering those primary care services. Great. Any other thoughts, participants?
Meena, I'm not sure if you're monitoring chat. If not, please do.
Yes.
Hi, Meena. Can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think Prashant also has commented in the chat. But what I thought, what Dr. Deepak defined was more in terms of primary care approach. And maybe primary healthcare also encompasses like finding out what the community needs are, working with the community, uh, and 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 not just their medical or clinical needs, but also the social determinants and approaching in that way might encompass primary healthcare.
Exactly. It's a broader concept. The primary healthcare approach is a broader concept where we have to, it's a whole of society approach, it's a life course approach. We have to meet the needs of all sections of the population. It's about preventive care, it's about health promotion. So it is a much broader concept than the primary care. True. Thanks, Swati. Any other thoughts?
Thinking like could we take the example of looking at symptomatic treating the symptoms and bringing a systematic change or a systemic change. Like when we are looking at primary healthcare, we are talking more on the broader aspects, as you have rightly said. So we are looking at how do we prevent, how can we improve the better the social determinants in a better way, so that we will not have health consequences like illness and things like that. Whereas primary care is more focused towards somebody's specific needs who have come up with some illness or disease treatment.
Karuna, you're muted.
It says that the host has muted you, so I don't know. Hello?
No, no, I didn't do anything.
So I got a message that host has muted you. Anyway, that was the point I was trying to tell. I don't know if it's clear, or should I repeat myself? Hello?
It was clear, Karuna. I don't know what happened to Meena's voice,
Okay.
but I was able to hear clearly. Meena, are you still
Yeah, it
connected?
was clear, Karuna.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Prashant. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Thank you. So you, am I right in my understanding?
Yeah. So that is, yeah, yes, yes. Yes, primary care is about, Karuna was trying to say primary care is about treating the symptoms, whereas primary care approach is bringing a systematic change, systemic changes to prevent illness. That's a very good way of explaining primary healthcare approach. Thanks, Karuna, for that. Any other thoughts? So just connecting with what Karuna said, if primary healthcare approach is about bringing systemic changes, then is it primary healthcare? Is it confined only to health system, or it is beyond that? What are your thoughts on this?
I think it should be beyond healthcare, isn't it? Because if we health is is one component of the life, like it is linked to us. When we talk about social determinants, there are other aspects of life which affect our health, like say nutrition. If there's malnutrition, then it leads to several risk association with diseases, and this is again related to poverty. So I think there should be a comprehensive approach.
Okay, great. Any other thoughts? Others? So Karuna is trying to say we need a multi-sectoral approach.
Yeah, I agree with Karuna. Um, both that directly affects health and maybe indirectly affects the agency of the people as well. Whether it might be related to how uh, politically active they are, or uh, how much of how much of they can recognize their own needs, or how much they can actually voice out their needs also matters. So
Yeah, that's a very important point that Swati is bringing up. If I summarize properly, it's about community empowerment, community ownership, how much decision-making power they have on their well-being, on their health, health of the population, the communities. It's a very important concept that is deeply intertwined with primary healthcare approach. Yes, Swati, thank you for bringing that. Any other thoughts on primary healthcare or healthcare approach? Yes, Karuna.
Yeah, I was thinking like building systems which are accessible to people,
Mhm.
and uh, like as you have used the word multi-sectoral. So like continuing on that, I want to say integral approach to the different aspects. Like I was thinking like when we take our rural settings in context, so there is lot of um, cooking fuel, that is wood, that will be used. So there is lot of exposure to this smoke, uh, and it affects the health directly also, and but it also has indirect effect on the environment. So when we look at improving these systems, uh, bring making technology accessible to the people, like say the LPG or things like that, so uh, they will have better fuel to cook food. It will have benefits on health and as environment also. So that kind of an integral approach,
Mhm.
would it also fit under this primary care approach? So
Yes. Yeah, you're trying to bring in the concept of integrated.
using
Yeah.
technology into bringing these
Mhm.
things closer, because see these LPG has been there for many years now, it's not something new, but then we don't have
Mhm.
accessible in many for many people. And we have seen when we went on fields, people have one cylinder in their kitchen, but they're still only using the wood, cooking outside the house. So when we ask them, why are you doing this? So ma'am, ye to like this one was given in some scheme, but then I cannot use it because I cannot keep on buying. It's so expensive for me. So we keep it only like for some specific use, like in the late in the night we have some issues to do something we need to use. That kind of specific times only we use. Morning and we'll use only this stove. Ye to, the wood and all we get free. We just walk into our to the neighborhood and just pick up some wood and come. So for them it is more of accessibility and having the capacity affordability to buy those uh, the gas cylinders. So how do we think of improving the health in this larger context unless I make this accessible and affordable to them? So I believe the decision makers and the community should think at providing these kind of resources of or making them more affordable, so we will have benefit both on health and environment.
Yeah. Yeah, you've given a very nice example, Karuna. So maybe we'll take this example only to see if the community really have to use that LPG gas, which are the sectors, how we can approach this issue, which kind of institutions can play a role in solving this issue in that local context. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, I see Prashant has commented about multi-sectoral integrated systemic approaches for primary health care. Prashant, would you like to come in here?
No, I was just curious to hear more voices from among the others on what is their understanding of primary health care, or else this new ideas that Karuna introduced about integration of care, and earlier someone else spoke about multi-sectoral nature of care. So maybe explaining these terms with a few concepts or illustrations from your own workplace will be very useful learning for all of us. So anyone else who hasn't spoken till now?
So can I speak on multi-sectoral?
Please go ahead.
So according to my understanding, multi-sectoral is when we talk about health, there are a lot of determinants of health when we consider it is of spiritual, it is of social, it is of physical. So there are a lot of things what it is actually included. Like example, if I take a particular community or a village, it is not only like the organism is getting inside and it is getting affected or it is creating health issues in a person. There are other things what is actually involved. Like example, if there are no proper transport facility or the roads are being not maintained properly, or as the sanitation of the village, or there is no proper sanitation drainage facility, cleaning of the drainage is not being maintained. So there are a lot of components or determinants what exactly decide. So now who are the people responsible for making this sanitation, cleanliness or a drainage or anything when we consider in a particular community? Because a community doesn't exist solely. There are a lot of dependent factors into it. So if I take a village, maybe the drainage facility or the drainage cleanliness is a part of BBMP sector. Now, because I stay in Bangalore, maybe the BBMP should take up the initiative in getting the things done. Right. So that is one part of multi-sectoral. If it is like other things, like if I have to talk about education, so the education where like people in the particular village or the community, from where are they getting educated? It is all the interdependent and the a multi-sectoral approach towards the health. Now education system, when I talk about all the basic hygienic measures, or we teach everything from the basic. So even that is a part of a multi-sectoral approach what we need to get into our health system. Because only the health people, maybe a doctor, a nurse or a health worker, ASHA worker, ANM, may not be always the people should be responsible. Because each and every individual who are a part of society is responsible for their own health and others' health, either by educating, like as a teacher how we need to educate our students, or as an individual how am I going to react with the other person. So That is what is my understanding about multi-sectoral.
Okay, so
Thank
that,
you.
Can I speak about integrated care?
yes, Megha.
Yeah, I think integrated care is more about a comprehensive care which includes all the components that together work to make a human being healthy. That would include all the psychological factors, the social factors, or the economic factors. And all the departments, I think, which are running in a hospital, maybe the emergency department, the Ayush department, the nursing department, or the insurance sector, and the research professionals, like everything which is contributing in some way or other to make the care what it is. I think that would mean the integrated care.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks for those reflections. And Swati in the chat box, she's raising one important question. She's asking, when you say basic care, what exactly it means? She feels that it undermines the potential and also the responsibility of primary health care. Would you like to react on this, participants?
Maybe basic is, according to me, primary healthcare is the basic facility what is being provided. Maybe a basic education, maybe a basic of sanitation, water supply, then basic health facilities, okay, which is accessible to the people where they reside. Then the basic MCH care, what is being, which is to be provided to the people in there. So these are the certain few basic factors which needs to be provided irrespective of the location or the the caste, creed, or whatever it is. So I feel that is the basic thing.
Yeah, but there is also a challenge to define what comprises basic care.
Yes.
Yeah, and how do we ensure comprehensiveness in this basic care? These are the tensions, and Prashant is highlighting that in the chat. You can view that. Fine. So now I think we have discussed fairly about the first two questions. So now we all have a common understanding. Primary care is very different from primary healthcare approach. Primary care is a medical concept very much restricted to the care component, whereas primary healthcare is about well-being of communities and the population. So we have to address the social determinants of health. It has a much broader scope, and we have to take a whole of society approach. So that's very clear. I'm happy that it came out very well in the discussion. Let's move on to the third question now. Here we will try to explore or discuss the existing state of primary healthcare system in our country. What are the challenges we are facing? What are the challenges within the primary healthcare system of our country?
I think the challenges, the first and the foremost challenge would be the rural healthcare is majorly neglected in India, and that is mainly because people are biased towards the urban sector and rural sector. So I think, and also the healthcare is very expensive in India as compared to other countries. The majority of the expenditure is out of pocket expenditure, not really about the insurance doesn't cover, and also the budget which is allocated from the center is also very less as compared to other sectors. So I think these might be the challenges which are keeping India giving India a laid back in the healthcare sector.
Mhm. Okay, financing for the primary healthcare system is inadequate. Megha is saying. Any other challenges? What other challenges you have seen or you've witnessed, experiencing for the primary healthcare system, for strengthening primary healthcare systems?
I wanted to highlight two challenges. One, especially in the urban setting, majority 80 to 90%, I think that was covered in the last hangout session also, is provided by the private sector. So integration of private entity into the whole primary healthcare landscape is, it hasn't happened yet. So I see that as a challenge. And also this current primary healthcare landscape has become very programmatic approach where government has either it is NHM, i- certain programs that are run, but I don't see that they are talking to each other to actually be flexible to the needs of the community.
Two very important points Swati is raising. The challenge about engaging with the private sector within the primary healthcare landscape, and programmatic approach. She's working in silos. These are other challenges. Any other challenges? What other challenges you see? Yeah. Yes, Deepak. Okay.
Again, what I mean to say, primary healthcare is not for only, infectious disease or like non-communicable disease. If we follow the definition of health, is like totally any kinds of the health-related problems, either mental health or very chronic disease or infectious disease or non-infectious disease. So there is no certain definition from the government side which up to the which disease should have a facility in under the primary health care. So this is very difficult situation for developing country. In a developed country, maybe they have this what to say insurance system, and the insurance covers all kinds of health problem, for diagnostic, for drugs, for treatment, for follow-up, whatever. But in our context, like Nepal, our neighboring country, India, Bangladesh, so in a developing country, like people still have very much problem, and they are depend on the out of pocket like expenditure. And many district and many state have like a private health sector only. People are depend on the private health sector. So here is like how to manage this primary health care, all of people.
Yeah, that's a very nice point. Is primary care healthcare approach is also about avoiding financial hardship while accessing healthcare. And thanks for bringing that Deepak. So that the state response to ensure financial health protection is inadequate in our context. True, very true. Any other thoughts?
I think the lack of awareness is also one of the major factor which is keeping people, not able to reach to the healthcare in India. Like if you go to the remotest part of the country, people are still resorting to the traditional practitioners or the Jhula Chhap doctors, and not anyone who's certified doctor. So I think the lack of awareness is also one of the major reason of the healthcare in India. And there are certain taboos related with the certain diseases. Like women are still not very comfortable in talking about the menstruation and things like this. So I think people are still not very much aware about the national health programs as well. So they are not able to utilize the funds which are being granted, maybe less, but whatever the fund is being granted, they are not able to utilize the funds also because of lack of awareness among the society.
Okay. Yes, thanks, Megha, for bringing that. But I would like to ask you, lack of awareness and people are resorting to traditional practitioners for healthcare services and all that. But what option they have in the when their health infrastructure is not that strong in those remotest, underdeveloped areas? What option they have?
So, ma'am, as when polio eradication program was launched, the country made it very clear that each and every part was being connected to eradicate polio from the country. So, I think people should. I think the funds should be allocated to make all the national health programs to reach the remotest part of the country, not to only be on the TVs or on the social medias to make people aware, but also to the people who do not have access to these things. So through that, I think they might be able to reach to a mass population, and also the people can trust the society, trust the doctors and approach them. And there should be strong vigilance about the Jhola Chhap doctors and people who are practicing without any medical degree. I think these things might be helpful.
There is also this trust factor, and there is a cultural dimension to the primary healthcare approach. And Yeah, Prashant is also asking, what if some people want treatment for a problem that is not covered in National Health Program? Maybe we'll have to think about it as well. Yeah. Yes. So we are, it's 4:75.
Meena,
And yes, Prashant.
Wondering whether we can, I can just make some remarks. I wanted to share a small video
Yes.
with everyone. I feel, is it okay? Can I just play a small video? Of course, I'll put the link in chat later. You can also look at it later. But since it's only 6 minutes, I thought we'll all look at it together. Is that okay?
Yeah. I think this is the right time, Prashant.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tell me if the audio is coming through. Huh? First, I'll share the screen. Okay, and I'm playing the video. Can you tell me in chat whether the 1 minute?
So I'm Professor Amanda. Howe. I'm an academic general practitioner, family doctor in the United Kingdom, and I'm also president of the World Organization of Family Doctors, which is a registered non-governmental organization, non-state actor, they call it, with the World Health Organization.
40 years ago, in 1978, the WHO and UNICEF jointly sponsored the International Conference on Primary Healthcare in Alma-Ata, in what was then the USSR and is now Kazakhstan. The attendees at the conference, representatives from governments around the world, adopted what's now known as the Declaration of Alma-Ata. The declaration urged governments, WHO and UNICEF, and other international organizations, as well as multilateral and bilateral agencies, non-governmental organizations, funding agencies, all health workers, and the whole world community, to support national and international commitment to primary health care.
1978 in Alma-Ata, I think I was quite young then, but it was a very different period in history. It was still the Cold War, dominated by these huge divisions in the world, and an awful lot of money and energy was going into armaments and defense. And there were wars, so there'd been the anti-Vietnam stuff, and people in health and in civil society were saying, look, we've had the Second World War, we need to try to get things so that we focus more on keeping people healthy and also being inclusive. So it was, we have big inequities around the world now, but I think it was a very inequitable picture then.
An acceptable level of health for all the people of the world by the year 2000 can be attained through a fuller and better use of the world's resources, a considerable part of which is now spent on armaments and military conflicts.
And again, the hospital sectors had already developed, bioscience was getting stronger with the markets and research that was fueling that, fair enough. We all need hospitals and labs sometimes. But the emphasis on the community end and public health end was seen politically around the world as not as strong as it should be.
Primary healthcare is essential healthcare based on practical, scientifically sound, and socially acceptable methods and technology, made universally accessible to individuals and families in the community through their full participation, and at a cost that the community and the country
The question then was,
afford.
where do we start? And if you've got thousands of people dying of malaria or thousands of children who've never had any preventive vaccinations, you're going to start there. Other countries like the UK already had the NHS, already had antenatal care, safe water, vaccine programs. So we could, as it were, build on our strengths already. But some countries, I think, again, WHO started with some of those absolute global priorities. And what happened was that vertical programs started to develop. So as an example I've given, I went to Africa in the 1970s when I was a medical student, and I saw, you know, a TB team would come to one village and then they go to another one, and half the time people were out in the fields because they didn't know when they come, and there were all sorts of things about the fact there was no permanent primary healthcare service there. But anyway, I think the vertical program started, it was sort of selective primary care, so there were focuses on some priorities, but not all countries either understood or perhaps had the capacity to start and build the primary care teams up from the bottom. I think there's another thing that I've realized as I've come up more into the international scene, is that donors have a lot of influence. So there was a period, of course, you know, you say, well, you please fund the malaria program, or please fund the Ebola outbreak. And of course, we, you know, fantastic that people do, but it only answers one problem. And now, again, within the past 10 years, and Wonka has been part of this as one of the NGOs, is the conversation about how, if you don't have a horizontal integration of all those programs, how cost effective is it? And how can you use the opportunity of contact with a woman and her child to do some other things? If you're just the malaria program, that's what you're going to do. But if you're the primary care team, you're going to be thinking, you know, contraception, child development, has the baby had the vaccine? Does the woman want it to have? Does the woman know about the vaccine? And you can do so much if you have that personal contact rather than the program specific.
On the 25th and 26th of October 2018, the world will come together in Astana, Kazakhstan, at the Global Conference on Primary Healthcare to renew a commitment to primary healthcare to achieve universal health coverage and the Sustainable Development Goals.
And I think the principles of Alma Ata Declaration are still very important. You know, health is a human right, primary health care is a mechanism that can help to address the social determinants of health, help to resolve some of those inequities across society, not, as I say, the whole story, but to play a big part in that. And also to, if you like, challenge a little bit and help communities to challenge the things that affect their health. So the Astana Declaration, I think, will echo Alma Ata in saying, we've got to do this at every level. It's got to be governments and societies, you know, politicians, it's got to be health professionals, it's got to be the people themselves. We've got to empower people to understand what good health means, look after their own health, but also to challenge when things are affecting their health that really aren't helping.
Okay, I hope that was audible for everyone. So maybe I'll just make some...
Thank you very much. I believe we have another question from the audience. Oh, sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm Maya Kasakam from...
Yeah. Am I audible, Meena?
Yes, Prashant, you're audible.
Okay, so I thought, I think, thank you for this very rich discussion, and I can see people, given the diversity of our participants also, people have also picked up different aspects of primary health care. So we covered primary care, which Deepak first began with, which is also very important. Primary care, which is the first port of call, whichever it is in a health system, whichever is the first interaction between a health service and the community, needs to be able to provide what is called as primary care, the basic set of services that ought to immediately address a given health problem. But as you can see, the tensions right from the very beginning has been between what is called as comprehensive primary health care, where people are talking of curative, preventive, promotive, and rehabilitative services. These four components, what are called as components of primary health care. So people conceptualize primary health care as being comprehensive in this manner of not only being about curative services, but also about prevention, promotion, and rehabilitation. And you had in the 80s and 90s a movement to create what is called a selective primary health care, because economists and other people holding the resources started saying, oh, it will be impossible to provide everything. So let's provide select list of services. So one of you was bringing up the idea of the success of the polio program. And at the time, if you notice, I put a question saying, what if people want something that is not covered in a given program? And this brings in the important component that was covered in the video of the need for primary health care to respond to people's needs. It's not a few experts who decide that, okay, let's now get rid of tuberculosis. What if there is a community somewhere where they are not really seeking, who sometimes require social support? There is need for dementia care, there is diabetes, there is infections, there is mental health problems, there are children with special needs. So in a typical village or a typical urban locality, the diversity of healthcare requirements that exist cannot be solved by a specific list of things that we decide at a central level, where we say, okay, let us make TB a national priority. Let us make something else a national priority. It's great to have national priorities. It's important to have disease control programs, but ultimately these will work only if at the bottom, at the primary health center, there is a team which is able to provide good quality, integrated care in a way that people also develop trust, that people feel empowered. So this was the sort of essence of the primary healthcare movement. And as you saw in the video, even though it's now been 5 decades since the Alma Ata Declaration, where countries all over the world agreed to organize their health systems based on the concept of primary healthcare, it continues to be a challenge, and it continues to be very relevant in countries like India as well. So that's one thing I wanted to share. The second thing is about integration, and I think one or two of you already gave good examples. The integration aspect is about how do you provide. I mean, it's useful to if we say integration, we need to ask integration of what. So one example is integration of services. So if you, for example, go to a primary health center, there will be a laboratory, there will be a pharmacy, there will be these few sort of services which are available there. So that means these are integrated. But what about dental care, for example? What about, let's say, an optometrist or a refractionist? So as we add these services onto a primary health center, what we can take from that is that many different preventive and curative services are being integrated into the primary health center. So that is an example of how integration works in terms of services. You can also think of integration of systems. For example, you can say, okay, why should we have a separate government Ayurvedic dispensary and a separate modern medicine PHC? You can say, let us integrate systems of medicine into one location. So that's, for example, an integration of system. So this is how, one understands the word integration. So in this manner, I think what is useful learning tool is that whenever you see these terms, it's useful to say, okay, how do I illustrate these using examples from my own setting? This kind of ability to illustrate terms from your own setting is an extremely important learning opportunity in this course. Yeah. So so Swati brings up an important question, and let's address that. So what if a village has high incidence of TB, but the population doesn't recognize this as a priority or a need? Is there a need, or is there anything wrong in creating that need or planning to work on it? So I think this is an important question that challenges the assertion I made earlier, and it's very important to understand this. So and more so in COVID, in COVID-19, for example, you have situations where people are also sometimes denying that that this is a problem. You also have instances where people refuse vaccines. They say, oh, there may be, I don't want this. So then what does the public health approach require? So within primary healthcare, what we say is that we need to address these things in a participatory way. We need to negotiate. We need to engage with communities in a way that they make informed and active choices. What is inappropriate is to force these upon people, because in the long run, what you will develop is a mistrust between the health services and the community, and this will only become counterproductive. So one example of developing mistrust would be to then say, okay, that anyone who refuses TB care, we will take police action and we will immediately enforce TB, we will arrest you and then give you TB tablets. So maybe you will bring down the incidence of tuberculosis in the short term, but in the long term, what you will create is a huge mistrust between the health workers and the community, which is ultimately counterproductive to the health of people. So broadly, I think these are the remarks I wanted to make. I request you to go to the website of the World Health Organization, and the World Health Organization has a portal on primary healthcare. You can Google WHO primary healthcare and you will get a portal with a lot of resources on what primary healthcare is. Maybe I'll keep it at that. Meena, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prashant, for that enriching reflection. So it's for us, we just have 5 minutes now. Maybe I don't have any final remark, but then I just want to make a small appeal that primary healthcare approach is so important. We know that it is the cornerstone for achieving UHC or achieving sustainable development goals in whatever capacity you are working. Just don't forget this. Because if I see in the policy dialogues or the policy documents, whatever the decision taken by the government, the narrative completely ignoring the primary healthcare concept. That's very sad. So in whatever little capacity we are working, we should make sure that this we emphasize the need for primary healthcare approach. So this is a small appeal. So we have last 5 minutes. Maybe if you have any doubts in the modules or any clarification suggestion, this is the time. You can directly ask us. Any doubts you have in the modules, you can ask directly Prashant, myself, or any technical administrative difficulties. Arish is there, you can ask.
Ma'am, I have one thing. By mistake, I have left out module 1 exercise. Can I do it now?
Harish, is it possible?
It's not exercise. Yeah, exercise. Assignment I had done, but then I don't know how I missed the exercise. Let's MCQs. Can I do it now?
Maybe
Yes, sir. Yes, you drop a message to Rashmi or Harish. They will get back to you, Shashikala.
Okay, ma'am. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Please try to complete your assignments. I see still some people have not done the module 1 assignment. So I don't see any comments. People want to reflect or ask their questions. So if that is the case, then we wrap up this session. Thank you so much, all of you. It was very nice to interact with you. I look forward to another Hangout session like this. We learned a lot. Thank you so much.